Imagine being ridiculed for your simple clothes by someone who claims to be a fashion expert. What if they knew the truth? That the quiet girl they mocked was actually fashion royalty in disguise. Some people don't deserve to be in my fashion design class, Ms. Winters announced, her eyes fixed on Lily's plain outfit while students snickered. Little did she know that Lily Chen, the silent girl who never defended herself, was sketching designs that would make Milan weep. What Ms. Winters couldn't see beneath Lily's unassuming exterior was the daughter of the legendary House of Chen, the most exclusive fashion empire in the world. The very same company where Ms. Winters had been desperately trying to secure internships for her favorites. When worlds collide and masks fall away, who will be left standing on the runway? Because sometimes the most powerful statement isn't made with words, but with silence, until the perfect moment arrives. Westlake Academy wasn't just a school. It was a battlefield where social status was determined by the labels you wore. In this elite institution, fashion wasn't merely self-expression. It was currency, power, and the invisible line separating the worthy from the worthless. And no one understood this hierarchy better than Ms. Patricia Winters. Ms. Winters had built her 20-year career on being the gatekeeper to the fashion industry. As head of the school's prestigious fashion design program, she didn't just teach, she curated the next generation of designers. Her recommendations could launch careers, and her dismissals could end dreams before they began. Former students now worked at Vogue, Prada, and Chanel, a fact she mentioned in every class. Fashion is about understanding power, Ms. Winters would say, adjusting her Hermes scarf while scanning her students with calculating eyes. It's about knowing who matters and who doesn't. The classroom itself reflected this philosophy. The front row, reserved for her favorites, showcased students in designer clothes with expensive accessories. The middle rows housed those with potential but lacking connections. And then there was the back row, where Lily Chen sat quietly, her simple clothing making her nearly invisible. "Ms. Chen," Ms. Winters called out during critique day, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "Perhaps you could explain your design concept, though I wonder if someone who dresses like you could possibly understand what makes clothing worth looking at." The classroom fell silent. Students shifted uncomfortably in their seats, but no one dared defend Lily. The power dynamic was too entrenched, the consequences of challenging it too severe. "I was inspired by minimalism and functionality," Lily answered softly, her eyes fixed on her sketchbook. Ms. Winters picked up Lily's design with 2 fingers as if touching something distasteful. "Minimalism requires understanding what to eliminate. You've simply created something boring because you don't understand fashion. Perhaps your talents lie elsewhere, if you have any." Laughter rippled through the classroom. Lily's cheeks burned, red, but she remained silent. This wasn't the first time, after all. For 3 years, she had endured Miss Winters' targeted humiliation, watching as less talented students received praise simply because they wore the right brands or came from connected families. Identity-based bullying thrives on power imbalances, and Ms. Winters wielded her authority like a weapon. She had created a classroom culture where a student's worth was determined not by their creativity or skill, but by their appearance and social status. "Fashion bullying isn't new," Ms. Winters once told a fashion magazine that profiled her teaching methods. "It's preparation for the real world. If they can't handle criticism here, they'll never survive the industry." What made the situation more painful was how the other teachers admired Ms. Winters. The principal praised her industry-focused approach and high standards. Parents fought to get their children into her class. Her bullying was reframed as toughening up students for a competitive field. The social hierarchy extended beyond the classroom. Zoe Parker, Ms. Winters' star pupil, made sure Lily's isolation was complete. "We can't sit with someone who looks like she shops at a thrift store," Zoe would announce loudly in the cafeteria. "It might ruin our aesthetic." Social bullying is particularly insidious because it's often disguised as jokes or casual comments. When Lily wore the same cardigan twice in 1 week, Zoe started a rumor that Lily's family couldn't afford laundry detergent. When Lily received a good grade on a project, whispers spread that she must have cheated. What no one at Westlake Academy knew was that Lily's simplicity was deliberate. Her father, James Chen, had built the House of Chen on principles of exceptional craftsmanship hidden within understated designs. True luxury whispers. It never shouts, he often told Lily. Their clothing was so exclusive that pieces were only sold to private clients. No mass production, no flashy logos, just impeccable quality recognizable only to those who truly understood fashion. The irony was painful. Ms. Winters kept a framed photo of herself standing next to James Chen at a rare public appearance he'd made years ago. She called it her brush with genius, and often told students how meeting him had been the highlight of her career. Yet she couldn't recognize his daughter or his design philosophy when it sat in her classroom. The situation reached a breaking point during the preparations for the annual fashion showcase, an event attended by industry professionals where students presented their collections. This year was especially significant as rumors circulated that representatives from the House of Chen might attend to scout new talent. Ms. Chen, Ms. Winters announced to the class, "Given your limited understanding of fashion, I think it's best if you work backstage rather than present a collection. We wouldn't want to embarrass the school." The classroom fell silent. Even Zoe looked uncomfortable with this level of cruelty. Lily had spent months developing her collection, working late into the night, perfecting every stitch. "But I've completed my collection," Lily said, her voice barely audible. "A collection of what? Boring, forgettable clothes that no one would ever notice." Ms. Winters laughed. "Fashion is about making an impression. You, my dear, make none at all." As Lily gathered her sketches with trembling hands, Ms. Winters delivered the final blow. "The House of Chen representatives want to see excellence. Someone like you would never understand what that means." Little did Ms. Winters know, the quiet girl she had been tormenting was about to teach her the most important lesson of her career, and it would happen on the very runway she had banned Lily from entering. The bathroom stall had become Lily's sanctuary over the years, the only place where she could let her tears fall freely. After Ms. Winters' public humiliation, she found herself there again, clutching her sketchbook to her, chest as quiet sobs shook her body. 3 years of enduring, of staying silent, of honoring her father's philosophy that true talent never needed to announce itself. It all felt meaningless now. Her phone vibrated. A text from her father. "How are preparations for the showcase going? I'm proud of you for doing this on your own merit." Lily stared at the message, her vision blurring with fresh tears. Her father had always respected her decision to attend Westlake under her mother's maiden name, to experience design school without the weight of the Chen legacy. "I want to know if I'm good enough on my own," she had told him. Now, she wondered if she'd been fooling herself all along. She scrolled through her photo gallery to the images of her collection, pieces she had poured her heart into. Minimalist, silhouettes with hidden complexities, sustainable fabrics with innovative construction techniques, work that spoke to who she was as a designer, not as James Chen's daughter. "Maybe she's right," Lily whispered to herself, wiping away tears. "Maybe I don't belong here." For a moment, she considered calling her father, telling him everything. One word from James Chen would be enough to have Ms. Winters fired immediately. The House of Chen was not just a fashion label. It was an institution with enough influence to make or break careers with a single endorsement. But that had never been Lily's way. The bathroom door swung open, and Lily quickly silenced her sobs. Through the crack in the stall door, she could see Emma, one of the quieter students from class, washing her hands. "Did you hear?" Emma was saying to another student who had entered. "Ms. Winters just announced that Zoe's getting an internship, recommendation for the House of Chen." "Of course she is," the other student replied. "Zoe's collection is literally a knockoff of their last season. Ms. Winters probably thinks that's what they want to see, someone who can copy their style." It's such a joke. Zoe doesn't understand the first thing about what makes Chen designs special. It's not about looking expensive. It's about the craftsmanship, the attention to detail. But Ms. Winters wouldn't know that. She just likes Zoe because her parents donate to the school. The conversation continued as the students applied. Lipstick, unaware of Lily's presence. You know who actually gets the Chen philosophy? That quiet girl, Lily. Her work reminds me of their aesthetic, understated but impeccable. Too bad Ms. Winters is too blind to see it. Yeah, well, that's how the world works. It's not about talent, it's about who you know and how loud you are. The door closed behind them, leaving Lily alone again. But something had shifted. For the first time, she realized that others could see what Ms. Winters couldn't, or wouldn't, acknowledge. Her work had value, regardless of who validated it. Lily opened her sketchbook to a blank page and began to write. Not designs this time, but a letter. To her father. Her hand moved quickly across the paper as a plan formed in her mind. She had always wanted to succeed on her own merits. But perhaps there was another way to prove herself while also exposing the toxic environment Ms. Winters had created. 3 hours later, Lily sat in her apartment, surrounded by the pieces of her collection. Her phone showed a missed call from her father, but she wasn't ready to speak to him yet. First, she needed to make a decision that would change everything. The annual showcase was in 2 weeks. Ms. Winters had banned her from presenting, but the rules stated that any senior student could submit work for consideration by the panel of judges. The panel that would now include representatives from the House of Chen, representatives her father would send at her request. Lily picked up a simple white blouse from her collection, the cornerstone piece that tied everything together. To the untrained eye, it looked plain, but upon closer inspection, the construction revealed techniques that only the most skilled artisans could execute. It was, in every way, a Chen design. Her phone rang again. This time it was Emma. Lily, I hope you don't mind me calling. I got your number from the class directory. Emma's voice was hesitant. I just wanted to say I think it's really unfair what Ms. Winters did to you today. Your work is amazing, and you deserve to be in the showcase. Lily's grip tightened on the phone. Thank you, Emma. That means a lot. Some of us were talking. We think you should submit your collection anyway. The rules say Ms. Winters can't block a submission to the judging panel. She can keep you off her preferred list, but she can't stop you from entering. The kindness from an unexpected ally was the final push Lily needed. I'm going to do more than submit my collection, she said, her voice steady for the first time in years. I'm going to change everything. After ending the call, Lily dialed her father's number. When he answered, she took a deep breath. Dad, I need your help with something, but it's not what you think. James Chen listened as his daughter outlined her plan. When she finished, there was a moment of silence before he spoke. Are you sure this is what you want? Once this happens, things will never be the same. Lily looked at her reflection in the mirror, the quiet, unassuming girl who had allowed herself to be diminished for too long. I'm sure. It's time people learned that true value isn't about appearances or connections. It's about integrity and talent. Then I'll make the arrangements, her father said, pride evident in his voice. The House of Chen will be represented at the showcase, but not in the way Ms. Winters expects. As Lily hung up the phone, she felt a strange calm settle over her. For years, she had hidden who she was, believing that success should come from merit alone. Now she understood that sometimes justice required pulling back the curtain on privilege and prejudice. The showcase was 2 weeks away. Ms. Winters thought she had silenced Lily Chen. Instead, she had set in motion events that would expose the hollowness of her own expertise and the corruption of her teaching methods. The quiet girl from the back row was about to step into the spotlight, not as a victim seeking revenge, but as a designer ready to reclaim her voice and her heritage. The stage was set, the players were in position, and the fashion world had no idea what was coming. The night before the showcase, Westlake Academy buzzed with activity. Students and faculty worked frantically to transform the school's auditorium into a runway worthy of industry professionals. Ms. Winters supervised every detail, barking orders and making last-minute changes to the lineup. Her star pupil, Zoe, received the coveted closing spot, traditionally reserved for the collection the school most wanted to highlight. Backstage, Lily quietly arranged garment bags containing her collection. Though banned from presenting, she had submitted her work directly to the judging panel, as Emma had suggested. The panel, comprised of industry veterans and special guests, would review all submissions before the show and select additional pieces to be featured. "What are you doing here?" Ms. Winters's voice cut through the chaos. She stood over Lily, arms crossed. "I thought I made myself clear. Your collection isn't being presented." "I submitted directly to the judges," Lily replied, her voice steady. "According to the school guidelines, any senior student can do that." Ms. Winters' face tightened. "The judges have taste, dear. Don't get your hopes up." She glanced at Lily's garment bags with contempt. "Even if by some miracle they select your work, no one from the House of Chen would be impressed by such simplicity." As Ms. Winters walked away, Lily caught Emma's eye across the room. Emma gave her a subtle thumbs up. For the first time in years, Lily felt a strange sense of calm. Tomorrow would change everything. The morning of the showcase arrived, with a flurry of excitement. The auditorium filled with fashion editors, industry scouts, and proud parents. Ms. Winters stood at the entrance, personally greeting important guests, her face glowing with pride. "I'm particularly excited for you to see Zoe Parker's collection," she told a group of well-dressed attendees. "She's captured the essence of luxury fashion perfectly. The House of Chen representatives will be impressed." "Speaking of which," one of the guests replied, "have they arrived yet?" Ms. Winters' smile widened. "They should be here any moment. Front row seats are reserved, of course." Backstage, chaos reigned as models were fitted into their first looks. Lily stood quietly in a corner, watching as a panel judge approached her garment bags. "Ms. Chen, we've reviewed your submission. The panel would like your collection to be presented after intermission." Lily nodded, her heart racing. "Thank you." As the judge walked away, Zoe appeared beside Lily, her face twisted with contempt. "How did you manage that? Did you beg?" "I let my work speak for itself," Lily replied. "Well, it doesn't matter," Zoe sneered. "My collection is closing the show, and the House of Chen representatives will be long gone by the time your boring clothes hit the runway." The lights dimmed, and the show began. Collection after collection walked the runway, some innovative, others derivative. Ms. Winters beamed from her seat in the front row, occasionally glancing at the empty seats reserved for the House of Chen representatives. During intermission, whispers spread through the audience. Where were the special guests? Had they changed their minds? Miss Winters paced nervously, checking her phone. "They confirmed yesterday," she muttered to the school principal. "Perhaps they're just running late." The second half of the show began. 3 collections walked before the announcer's voice filled the auditorium. "Next, we present the collection of Lily Chen." The lights dimmed, and the first model stepped onto the runway in a seemingly simple white blouse paired with tailored trousers. But as she moved, the audience gasped. The construction of the blouse revealed intricate details, visible only in motion, hand-stitched patterns that caught the light, architectural elements that transformed the silhouette with each step. One by one, Lily's models walked, each garment more impressive than the last. The audience leaned forward in their seats, fashion editors furiously taking notes. These weren't just clothes. They were masterpieces of technical skill and artistic vision. In the front row, Ms. Winters' face had gone pale. She recognized what she was seeing, the unmistakable hallmarks of House of Chen designs. Not copies, but original works created with the same philosophy and technical mastery. As the last model completed her walk, the audience erupted in applause. Ms. Winters sat frozen, her mind racing. How had Lily created work of this caliber? And where were the House of Chen representatives who should have been here to witness it? The final collection, Zoe's, walked next. Her designs, which had seemed so impressive in the classroom, now looked gaudy and derivative after Lily's subtle mastery. The audience's applause was polite but restrained. When the show ended, Ms. Winters rushed backstage to find Lily. "How did you do that?" she demanded, her voice shaking. "Those techniques, they're proprietary to the House of Chen. Did you steal them?" Before Lily could answer, a commotion at the backstage entrance drew everyone's attention. A distinguished man in his 60s entered, flanked by assistants. The room fell silent as people recognized James Chen, the reclusive genius behind the House of Chen. Ms. Winters gasped, her hand flying to her throat. "Mr. Chen, we've been waiting. I'm so honored." She extended her hand, but James Chen walked past her without acknowledgement, his eyes scanning the room. When he spotted Lily, his face broke into a proud smile. "There you are." Ms. Winters watched in confusion as James Chen embraced Lily warmly. "Your collection was magnificent," he told her. "Every bit as good as I expected." "Thank you, Dad," Lily replied. The word echoed through the suddenly silent backstage area. Dad, the quiet girl from the back row, the one Ms. Winters had humiliated for years, was James Chen's daughter. Ms. Winters swayed slightly, her face draining of color. "Dad?" she repeated weakly. James Chen turned to face Ms. Winters, his expression cold. "Yes, Ms. Winters. Lily is my daughter. She wanted to attend design school under her mother's name, to be judged on her own merits rather than her connection to me." His voice hardened. "I respected her decision, though I've been less than impressed with what I've heard about your teaching methods." The backstage area had become crowded as word spread. Students, faculty, and industry guests pressed forward, witnessing Ms. Winters' moment of reckoning. I had no idea," Ms. Winters stammered. If you had known she was my daughter, you would have treated her differently," James Chen interrupted. "That's precisely the problem, isn't it? A teacher should recognize talent regardless of a student's name or background." Ms. Winters looked desperately at Lily. "Lily, I never meant—" "You meant every word," Lily said quietly. "You judged me based on appearances rather than ability. You taught your students that connections matter more than talent. That's not education. That's corruption." James Chen placed a hand on his daughter's shoulder. "The House of Chen is launching a scholarship program for emerging designers. We were considering partnering with Westlake Academy." He paused, his gaze piercing Ms. Winters. "We'll be looking elsewhere now." As whispers spread through the crowd, Ms. Winters realized the full impact of what was happening. Her reputation, her influence, her carefully cultivated relationships with the fashion industry, all of it was crumbling before her eyes. "Please," she whispered, "I can explain." But no one was listening anymore. The crowd had surrounded Lily and her father, industry professionals eager to speak with the young designer whose work had captivated them. Even Zoe stood at the edge of the group, her face a mixture of shock and dawning respect. In that moment, the power dynamic that had defined Lily's years at Westlake Academy completely reversed. The quiet girl from the back row wasn't just talented. She was fashion royalty. And Ms. Winters, who had built her career on recognizing the next big thing, had failed to see what was right in front of her. The truth wasn't just that Lily was James Chen's daughter. The truth was that Lily had genuine talent that should have been recognized regardless of her name. And in failing to see that, Ms. Winters had revealed herself to be exactly what she feared most: someone who didn't understand true fashion at all. The aftermath of the showcase unfolded with the swift precision of a well-tailored seam. By morning, fashion blogs and industry publications were ablaze with headlines: "House of Chen Heiress reveals identity at student showcase," and "Fashion teacher fails to recognize legendary designer's daughter." The story spread through social media like wildfire, with video clips of Ms. Winters' past criticisms of Lily juxtaposed against the revelation of her true identity. 3 days after the showcase, Lily sat in a sunlit cafe across from Emma and 2 other classmates who had reached out to her. The awkwardness of their newfound awareness of her identity had quickly given way to genuine conversation about design and creativity. "I still can't believe Ms. Winters didn't recognize your work," Emma said, shaking her head. "The techniques you use are so distinctly Chen." Lily smiled. She saw what she expected to see. A quiet girl who didn't fit her idea of what a designer should look like. We often miss what's right in front of us when we're blinded by our preconceptions. "Have you heard what happened?" another student asked, leaning forward. "The school board called an emergency meeting yesterday." Lily hadn't heard, but she wasn't surprised. The fallout had been inevitable. That same afternoon, Ms. Winters sat rigid in her chair as the school board delivered their decision. The room felt suffocatingly small, the faces around the table stern and disappointed. "Ms. Winters, in light of recent events, and after reviewing student complaints that have surfaced, we've decided to place you on administrative leave pending a full investigation into your teaching practices," the board chair announced. "This is absurd," Ms. Winters protested, her voice brittle. 20 years of service, and you're judging me based on one misunderstanding? "This isn't about one misunderstanding," the chair replied firmly. "Since the showcase, we've received dozens of testimonials from current and former students describing a pattern of favoritism, intimidation, and discrimination in your classroom. Your failure to recognize Lily Chen's talent was merely the catalyst that brought these issues to light." Ms. Winters' carefully constructed world was unraveling thread by thread. The prestigious fashion magazine that had featured her teaching methods had requested an interview for a follow-up piece titled "Recognizing Talent When Fashion Education Fails." 3 major design houses had withdrawn their offers to review her students' portfolios. And most painfully, her invitation to judge at Paris Fashion Week, an honor she had boasted about for months, had been quietly rescinded. As she cleaned out her desk later that day, Ms. Winters found the framed photo of herself with James Chen from years ago. The irony was almost too much to bear. She had spent her career claiming to recognize exceptional talent, yet she had failed to see it in its purest form when it sat in her classroom. Meanwhile, across town, Lily entered the House of Chen headquarters for a meeting with her father. As she walked through the atelier, skilled artisans nodded respectfully, not because she was the boss's daughter, but because they had seen her work and recognized a kindred spirit. James Chen was waiting in his office, a copy of Women's Wear Daily open on his desk. "You've caused quite a stir," he said, but his eyes were warm with pride. "That wasn't my intention," Lily replied, taking a seat across from him. "Wasn't it?" Her father raised an eyebrow. "You could have told me about Ms. Winters years ago. I would have intervened." Lily shook her head. "And then I would never have known if I could succeed on my own merits. I needed to find my voice, Dad, even when it was hard." James nodded thoughtfully. "And now that you have?" "Now I want to use it." Lily placed a portfolio on his desk. "I have an idea for the scholarship program you mentioned. What if, instead of partnering with a single school, we created a blind submission process? No names, no backgrounds, just the work itself. Judging purely on talent," James mused. "Revolutionary in its simplicity." "Exactly. And I want to lead it." 1 month later, Lily stood on a different stage, this one at the House of Chen headquarters, announcing the launch of the Pure Design Initiative. Camera flashes illuminated her confident smile as she explained the program's mission: to discover and nurture design talent regardless of background, connections, or appearance. "True quality speaks for itself," she told the assembled press. "It doesn't need logos or labels. It doesn't need to shout. And most importantly, it can come from anywhere, from anyone, if only we have the wisdom to recognize it." In the audience, Emma and several other Westlake students watched with admiration. Beside them sat Zoe, whose humbling experience at the showcase had sparked unexpected growth. She had approached Lily afterward with a genuine apology and a request for honest feedback on her work. As for Ms. Winters, she wasn't present at the announcement. She had left the city, her reputation in tatters. The fashion world can be forgiving of many things, but not of fundamental misjudgment of talent. Her failure wasn't that she hadn't recognized James Chen's daughter, it was that she hadn't recognized extraordinary design when it was presented to her. The final irony came 6 months later, when Lily's debut collection for the House of Chen was unveiled. Critics hailed it as a breath of fresh air, innovative yet respectful of tradition, complex yet seemingly effortless. The centerpiece was a reimagined version of the simple white blouse she had presented at the school showcase, now evolved into something even more extraordinary. And hanging discreetly in the showroom was a framed sketch, Lily's original design that Ms. Winters had dismissed as boring and forgettable. Beneath it, a small plaque read, "Remember to look beyond the surface. True quality endures." Lily never sought revenge against Ms. Winters. She didn't need to. The greatest justice wasn't in watching her former teacher fall. It was in rising to heights that made her own worth undeniable. It was in creating a path for others who might have been overlooked, in transforming her pain into purpose. In the end, the quiet girl from the back row hadn't just proven her talent. She had changed the conversation about what it means to recognize value in fashion, in others, and in ourselves. And that lesson, unlike trends that come and go, would endure for generations of designers to come. Sometimes, the most powerful statement isn't made with grand gestures or loud declarations. Sometimes, it's made with quiet dignity, patient persistence, and the unwavering belief that true quality will eventually speak for itself. Lily Chen had always known this truth. Now, the world knew it too.